Well, we're going to address a matter that comes up quite frequently, and that 8-pointer that I took on December 6th. I have it set that it grew in 2019. I have its antlers in 2018, and I have them from 2017. And I don't know the age of that deer, but I know how to find out. There's a company in Missoula, Montana that ages deer, and they send you all the information that you will need on how to go about doing that. It's very explicit. They show you how to take out the front 2 teeth, the bottom 2 teeth, the incisors. That's those bottom 2 main teeth. Now, when you have them in the jaw, you don't take the, you could send the jaw in, but it's really irrelevant. And I was in a local archery shop the other day, and the people were rattling off numbers that sounded like a auctioneer school. Basically, the president talks about fake news. Well, what they were talking about was fake numbers. They have no clue what the numbers are even talking about. They're not old enough to even understand why the Pope and Young Boone and Crockett system was even established, let alone throw those numbers out. And then when it gets to age structure, they really go off on it. And they have no foundation. Now, I want to know what the age structure of that deer was and how many years it survived from birth to December 6th. And the only true way to do that is to spend some money and send the front 2 incisors, the roots and all, that's what's in my hand right there, the front 2 teeth, and they will take and slice those, and they have a process of counting the growth rings on those. It cost a few dollars. I think it's around $100, but it's worth every penny of that to me, because that information is something I would really like to know, and put the rest to all this skeptics of, what is that, a 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, hey, now we got a 5.5, 6.5, hey, now we got a 7.5, now, hey, now we got 180, now we got 190, now we got a 200 inch, and I seen a 250 inch, blah, 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 blah. That's what goes on in the local archery groups now. It's pathetic. I don't think Fred Bear ever said anything about a number, or Howard Hill. Mel Johnson had no idea when he shot his 204 4/8 deer some 53 years ago about numbers. That was just a number that a group of men came up with. And like I said, if you're going to spout that off, have a foundation of knowledge and substance to back those numbers up. Because it's really discouraging the people that are in your audience, around you, in a group, listening to them, and they get totally all confused. So that's why I'm making this video. I took the jawbone, and you see it's still intact, and it's got the molars and the premolars, and they have quite a bit of wear on them. Now that's going to tell me, when I get those incisors back, just how old this was and what this wear is from. Now, a deer is like a cow. They're a cud chewer. So they're constantly grinding these molars down as they chew their cud. And in an abrasive situation, like I hunted in a rock quarry for years, that age structure really, or the teeth structure really got ground down really fast. But these premolars and molars, they're getting pretty well ground down. And I want to know just how long that deer was able to circumvent death in a, this is where my farm is, it's hunted 360 degrees around it. So it's not like owning 2 square miles and having deer in the middle of it, and you're the only one that puts the hunting pressure on. My deer, or the deer that I hunt, they're not my deer. The deer that I hunt are under severe pressure, and it's just going to give me a little more knowledge of how stealthy that buck was to survive that kind of hunting pressure. Because down in southern Iowa, if it's brown, it's down. And the racks that he carried the 2 previous years, in most cases, would have put him in somebody's pickup truck, and that would have been the end of it. But like I said, what I'm doing this for, and here's the 2 front incisors, and I'll move up here and show you a little closer. You want to get the whole root also, and if you boil that and you wiggle that, you can get the whole tooth out without breaking it off. So that's what it's going to look like when you send it away. And deer age gives you this envelope. You put the 2 teeth in there, and you mail it off to them, and I believe it's $100. Now a lot of you are falling over right now. $100. A cappuccino in the local grocery store is $3.49. Think of that. $3.50 for a bottle of basically piss at the end of the day. So you're pissing your money away. Same way with booze. You're pissing your money away, and you're giving yourself a headache. Anyhow, we're going to get these sent off. Deer age, it's out of Missoula, Montana, and they got all the information you're going to need, and we'll have the results back in a few days, and I'll share that with you. Then we will know scientifically the age structure of that deer. And like I said, 25, 35, and now we got 190, and we got 200, now we got 250, 150 to walk, hey, now we got 140 over there in that field, we got 160 over in that field, and we see him every night, and we can't get it because we're waiting on 190 now. Man, I don't know where we're going as bow hunters, but it's in the wrong direction, and that's non-typical. Yeah, gotta get in this non-typical's belief. So let's get that straightened out. If we're going to talk, let's talk fact, Jack. Well, we got the certificate of aging on that deer that we shot there in 2019 on the 6th of December, and possibly you can read that. But what that says is they aged the deer. That buck was aged at 6.5 years old by the Cementum Annuli method. That means they count the rings of aging in the incisor, the 2 front incisor teeth. Now what that annuli and Cementum Annuli is, or they call it CA, is the dark rings in living things, because all living things, even trees, go through stress in the winter. Therefore, it leaves a dark ring, and that's, like I say, how they count the age of a tree, and also they count the age in the teeth, because in the winter, all living things are under that kind of stress, and so it leaves a black stain, whereas when it's warm, that Cementum Annuli is real light and you can't count it. But in the winter, it takes on a dark form, and that's how they count the rings when they split the incisor teeth in 2. Like you've seen, we sent those 2 incisors to them. The 2 bottom front teeth is what they age. And we got that back, and so that deer on the top right there was aged at 6.5. Now, with that saying that means he came in at 2019. This deer here in the middle was 132, 134 and 6/8 gross. The last year when we found the matching sets, this particular rack here with a 16-inch spread, because the one that we shot on December 6th, the same deer, had a 16 and 6/8 inside spread. But not knowing the inside spread, I gave both of these sheds 16 inches, and that played out to be in 2018 the deer was 126 gross with a 16-inch inside spread, and after deductions was 123. And the first set that we found in 2017, which would be this one, with a 16-inch spread, it had 115 and 6/8 gross and a net of 111 and 6/8. So basically that's right at on the gross score from 115 to we went to a gross score of 19 to 134. So that's quite a bit of growth. And on the net, it would have been 111 and 6/8, and then this year it would have been a 132. So that's 22 inches of antler growth in those 3 years. This would have, at 6.5 years old. At this one, the 19 was 6.5. The 18 would have been 5.5, and the 17 would have been the 4.5. So we have 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5 antlers of that same deer, and so that's pretty good. And like I say, it's 20 some inches, 22 inches of growth net overall. So the genetics in that deer at 6.5, it wasn't going to get a whole lot bigger. From 18 to 19, it was 123 to 132. So you're talking 9 inches, 10 inches of growth from 18 through the 19 growing season. And they say, the so-called experts, and that's what I'm relying on their info, is that the deer at 6.5 generally are about as good as they're going to get. And here in Iowa, it's really hard to get a deer at 6.5 years old. Now, you know, on the national television and stuff, they show a lot of good sized deer, but you don't know the controlled situation that those deer are in, because most people are going to be shooting them. They're figuring most deer are getting shot at 2.5 and 3.5 years old as a buck. And so it's really fortunate to have this buck. And it was, like I say, laboratory tested and in Montana, and at 6.5 years old. And so that's good to know, and it was worth the expenditure to find that out. So you've learned something along to see the growth over those 3-year periods, and instead of speculating, because I had one viewer telling me to let that deer walk, and that was last year. That deer could be 190 inches. Ladies and gentlemen, deer don't grow naturally that big. There's no way. Now, with all the supplemental, or as I call it, doping going on, some of those numbers can be skewed, because you know, you put that out there, and as I noticed, a lot of non-typicals are being brought online, and it's phenomenal. If you start feeding those deer that kind of supplement unnaturally, it could probably really put an uptick in the score. These bucks were free-roaming bucks, could have been shot at any time, and they ate the food plots that I planted without any supplement other than the nourishment that was coming, the mineral that was coming out of the ground naturally. And that's one good thing about liming. You want to make sure you lime so you can get that nutrient into the forage. and then the forage will be as good as it can be, and that's the product, that the end result. So that's it on the 2019 deer. Time to go shed hunting.